September 13th, 2019 was a day many Borderlands fans, including myself, have had circled on their calendar. 7 years since the 2012 release of Borderlands 2 and 5 years since the pre-sequel. Man, that feels like it was just yesterday. The setup for this game is huge. We got a Tales from the Borderlands, a Telltale game, free DLC for the second game, a remaster, sort of the first game, and now the OG of looters shooters is here. The genre, which is now in the public eye of everyone, but still none of the other games can really compare to the other Borderlands games. Does this game follow that trend, or will it be another failure in a looter-shooter environment? There's only one way to find out.
And welcome to Pandora!
Story. Picking up a few years of where Borderlands 2 left off, the story of 3 is about the Calypso twins, a pair of Echo Star sirens brainwashing the psychos. Now there's some other stories inside the main plot that show up, like a war between Maliwan and Atlas.
Atlas not cutting it anymore? My offer still stands. It's not too late to come work for Maliwan. And you must be the Vault Hunter Tyreen warned me about. You know what? I don't even have time. I'll let my superior forces do the talking.
But everything starts with the twins.
Time to check out our sleigh of the day! That's gotta hurt!
The story has been getting bashed for bad writing, and honestly, I don't really see it. The issue with this game to me is how much lore that they just thrown out. I actually love the twins. They've had some funny dialogue and absolutely disrespected the Clemson Raiders. Are they better than Jack? Probably not, but time will tell. But the way the writing's gotten bashed, mixed with the impact Jack had, not only on the series, but gaming as a whole, mixed with nostalgia glasses, tells me no. My problem is the lore. You might as well throw out anything in Borderlands 1 lore out. Apart from Zero and Maya, the characters in 2 do absolutely nothing. There is almost no interaction between Vaughn and Reese, who are the only 2 characters from the Telltale game. The pre-sequel setup is almost non-existent, although it does sort of make that game better, in terms of story anyway. The DLC of Borderlands 2 is pretty much pointless. Tina, Brick, Mordecai have no effect on the story and don't really even seem to care about what's happening. People have little emotion to what's going on. People now knew all along about all the vaults when originally there were only supposed to be one on Pandora. The lore in this game is just completely messed up. It does ironically create more lore at the same time with the Iridians and Guardians, but when you ruin what was already established, it just kind of falls flat. Part of the reason why Borderlands 2 was so great in the story was not only did it have a great villain, but also kind of made the first game story better if you go back and play it. And while this game kind of makes the pre-sequel story better, you might as well throw out everything else that happened. I think it's a good story on its own, it just doesn't feel like a Borderlands story. As for characters, like earlier, there seems to be a disconnect from the story and the Crimson Raiders. The twins are not the issue. It's the Crimson Raiders and the lore that's the problem. Presentation. Borderlands has always had a unique look. A look that will never go old. The cel-shaded look or cartoony look on literally everything. But this game, oh my god, this game is beautiful. Not only do all the textures look crisp, look more detailed, and look more like animated, but it's in the same style, sort of. I would say that it also looks a bit more cartoony, but it's still gorgeous. And the effects, oh my god, they're incredible. Sadly, there's no physics, which is to be expected when it's now being promoted by AMD, but the effects in this game are still great. Ragdolls, the lighting, the reflections, the barrel explosions, the somewhat destructible environments, it's just so amazing. The sound in this game is also tremendous. All the guns are all unique in sound. The explosions have a mighty boom and thud to them. The voice acting is great, and the sound cues coming from the HUD in this game are also fantastic. Every enemy also have different sounds, Easter eggs have sounds, amazing attention to detail, and sounds everywhere. Some voice actors do return and sound a little similar, but that's okay when there's 900 enemies on the screen. So Borderlands 3 is about traveling to different planets, and boy, these maps are massive! One map in this game feels like 3 or 4 maps in the old games. In Borderlands 2, Three Horns Valley connects to Southpaw Steam of Power. Both Bloodshot Stronghold and Bloodshot Ramparts. If that map was great in Borderlands 3, it would just be one big massive map. Not only are the maps huge, but they also well designed and look amazing. Borderlands has always had that desert wasteland stereotype tied to it, although you really only get that in the first game. And with all the different planets you go to, each have their own aesthetic. Oh, and the soundtrack, fantastic. From the main menu to the combat music, it's just amazing to hear. Now the user interface is a bit of a mixed bag. No, I don't think it's terrible, but I do wish it was a bit easier to navigate and when to know when to help a friend. Some people have had performance problems, but I'm not one. My whole game takes about 3 seconds to load up a new area. I've never had a frame rate dip. I did have 2 crashes, one right when a legendary dropped, and a weird reload bug, and I did soft lock a couple times, which is kind of an issue with the missions, but it's not terrible. I can work around it. Honestly, I consider this one of the best launches in recent memory. The whole game, to me, has just been incredibly smooth. The presentation of this game is just great. Gameplay. If the gameplay is bad, then nothing else matters. Luckily, this game's gameplay is fantastic. The controls are great. Has fantastic responsiveness. The game's gameplay is godly. Every gun looks and feels different. Every character plays significantly different. The skill tree changes how you play with those characters. Guns and shields drop all the time, and those legendaries that you grind for seem to be as high rate of drop as the very first game. It feels great, it looks great, it is great. They've also added more tricks for your characters. You can now slide. Sliding downhill is just mad fun, man. Mantling up platforms and exploring. These huge maps are a blast. You can jump up and come slamming down. That'll damage anyone and everyone underneath you. Content. There's so much content in this game. When there's almost 200 legendaries to grind from day one, already making this game insane, you can also customize your character with unique skins and heads, decorate your room, do the side missions, turn on Mayhem mode, which adds variance to the game and increases your loot, Circle of Slaughter, which is like a horde mode that just hands out XP and rewards like mad, Guardian ranks, which essentially return from the previous game but has a new name and slightly tweaked way of doing it, Proving Gouge, which is essentially like a giant raid kind of thing. You take on waves that end in a boss, and the reward is based on how fast and how many times you die. There's also challenges in the world, and some sort of like mini collectible challenge quest thingies. They see you sabotaging satellites, salvage dead claptraps, assassinate challenges, hunting rare enemies, listen to the original Vault Hunter, which goes back to the lore problems, find the Iridian writings, unique vehicle and customize them, or you can just hijack your enemy's vehicle. There are so many ways to play with 4 characters and each having 3 different trees and multiple combinations of special abilities. You can mix and match your playstyle any way that you want. Mix that with the bazillion of guns and shields and class mods, and you got yourself a well-varied game. Borderlands 2 element slag is gone, and now there is radiation and cryo in its place. On top of that, manufacturers now do things to these guns. Hyperion still get more accurate as you shoot, but now they got shields. And some even convert into ammo. Torque still blows things up, but with an alternate rate of fire, they will occasionally have a sticky bomb instead of a jet rocket. Maliwan's elemental weapons have gotten really weird. Some are lasers, some shoot 2 elements, some shoot an orb but you have to shoot again, some change up, but most just have 2 different elements tied to them. Theodore, the one where you can throw weapons to reload. Some will now walk to the enemy, some will home in like a heat-seeking missile, and some will just bounce around yelling, ow, ow, hey, ow. These are easily the comic relief of the bunch. Alice can be a little strange. You put a tracker on an enemy, and no matter where you shoot, the bullets will go right there. Personally, I love this. I also love making my friends mad in duels from this. Vladoff has big magazines with huge rate of fires. Often their alternate fire mode can give you something like a sniper bipod, or rockets on your assault rifle, or rockets on your pistol. Jacob's guns fire as fast as you pull the trigger. The only difference now is that crits will now ricochet to other enemies. Imagine Zero with that in Borderlands 2 with Boar. Doll is personally my least favorite. They're essentially medium stats with burst fire capabilities. And instead of Bandit, we got Children of the Vault, or COV. The heavy COV weapons can be absolutely insane in damage. The special perk with these is that there is no reloading. Instead they will overheat and you will do a cooldown animation when they do overheat. But with all these guns, what about the enemies? If they're born, then it doesn't matter, right? Well, don't worry. Yes, there's COVs and tanks on every world, but there is also animals that are unique on each planet. They also break the pace a bit with Guardians returning from Borderlands 1 and Goliaths from Borderlands 2. There's also tons of anointed enemies that will take a bit longer to kill. There's also a ton of bosses.
Shim, your echo broken or something? The Sun Smasher clan has found the vault map. Send some followers to her. Escort them to the Holy Rectory. And hurry, our gods grow hungry.
Yes, they all come down to shoot them a lot, but the arenas and the attacks that they do are all different. Just enough to keep it special. And some of the designs for these bosses are just eye-gasm to look at. So much fun gameplay and amazing content in this game makes this an improvement on Borderlands 2 in almost every way possible, but there's more coming. With 2 free content events coming up and the first story DLC, this game will keep you busy for quite a while. But wait, there's more. No longer do you have to share loot with your friends. With Instant Loot, you can just pop in and get yours without the chance of it being stolen. You can also use your level 35 person in a level 2's world and the game will properly scale to you. This means you no longer need to make 20 characters with your friends that you'll never play with ever again. Of course, that is still an option. You can always go back to the classic way whenever you want. There's also a Twitch integration system. Some chests will have a lucky winner in your chat that will also get the same thing that you just got. There's also events where they vote on special items and enemies in the game. Now, I don't really have much footage of this because
Are you dead? If not, get me down! The controls are on the second floor!
I mean, let's be honest, no one checks my Twitch, but hey, it's there. Also follow me on Twitch, amslapped, link in the description below.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.
This game exceeds all of my expectations, not only making it by far the best Borderlands game, but one of the best games in this console generation. This is a massive improvement over Borderlands 2 in almost every possible way. I give Borderlands 3 an 8.8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought about Borderlands 3. And I guess I'll see you next time whenever I next time do a review. Later.